Hello, and welcome back to Wonderland Asylum. We're back today, not with the Titanic, not with the U-boat, but with issue 1, the Hachette Partworks release of Build The Lancaster Bomber. So, yes, this is one I wasn't actually planning to build, but it's kind of landed in my lap, so, oh well. So, yes, the Lancaster Bomber B3, bring the legend to life. Build a detailed model of the World War II aircraft that was made famous by the Dam Busters operation. And there's a link there if you want to get that for yourself from the Hachette Partworks website. Now this is what it features. It features die-cast parts, a removable cockpit so you can see inside, accurate details, an authentic representation of the Lancaster bomber flown by Wing Commander Guy Gibson. There's gunfire effects, light and sound create the effect of gunfire from the 2 turrets and 6 machine guns. And if you go onto that website, you can actually see it in action. It's on YouTube too. The propellers turn, the landing gear goes up and down, there's interior lighting, and there's a dynamic display stand in the style of one of the targets. And from what I'm led to believe, the bomb actually rotates as well inside. This is what your model is going to measure. So beware, this is going to be very big. The wingspan is 971.5 millimeters, so that's pretty big. It's nigh on a metre wide and 66.75 centimetres long. So it's going to be big, and bear in mind it's on the display base as well, so make sure you have somewhere to store it. Again, there, some information about the magazine, what you can expect in each issue. Some facts, etc. And there it tells you what comes in issue 2 and 3. And also some of the gifts that you get. You get a tin poster, you get a pen, you get a ring binder, and you get a model. 144th scale model of the Lancaster. So yeah, those are the gifts as it is just now. That may change in the future. But I can actually show you the first free gift, which is the tin poster. After Me, the Flood. It's a picture of the Lancaster bomber there, having dropped its bomb on one of the dams. And I do have issue 2 here as well, as it happens. But yeah, and here again, you can see, unlike Titanic, the instructions are at the front. Again, a fair bit to do for issue 1. Issue 1 and 2, they tend to do that. And then it's an article on the B3 Lancaster bomber. Some interesting facts. And then on Wing Commander Guy Gibson, VC, who of course piloted the model, the Lancaster this model is based on. Development of the Avro Lancaster. Again, with the unusual kind of shield-shaped tailplanes. And again, the first operations and what happened after the war. I have seen a Lancaster bomber actually in person at a museum in London, which was very enjoyable. So yeah, obviously if you can, get yourself down, have a look. But you'll have to make do with the model. So let's have a look at the parts in issue 1. Okay, so here we have the parts for issue 1. We have bit of interior frame. We have a bit of the fuselage, which is metal. You can see there the riveting detail, which is very nice. We have some AP screws and some AM screws. Now, if you're not familiar with Partworks, P tends to mean they're going into plastic, where M tends to mean they're going into metal. We have a tester board, which you tend to get with the majority of Partwork models. We have, again, a screwdriver, which is much the same. Now I won't be using the screwdriver they provide, I'll be using my own, but it's nice of them to give you one anyway. We have a small blister pack with smaller parts here. I think they're kind of control boxes and a little window there. We have a motor. And we have some propeller blades, and I believe they're a jig to assemble the propeller. So we have the nose cone here, which goes like that. We have the kind of central mounting for the propellers. Now the propellers do have gears in them, which allows them to turn and be angled and posed. Again, there are 3 propeller blades there, if they want to come out, which they don't currently. Yeah, now obviously they had those yellow tips in, so that when the propellers were spinning you could see the kind of yellow disc round the outside, and it would reduce the risk of people walking plumb dumb into a propeller. Ooh, not nice. And again, there is the outer nose cone, or the spinner, as it's sometimes referred to. Again, there is another part of the central piece of the propeller. And as I say, I believe these 3 parts here are just little jigs to allow you to set the propeller on while you're assembling it. And that is it, everything that's in the box. So the first thing we need is the frame. Just looking like that. It is made of plastic, and we're going to need these interior details. Now the other thing we need is some super glue. Now I tend to use this, which is Glue It, and it comes from a range of UK hardware stores called The Range. Now I do tend to get their vacuum sealed glue, but last time I went in there wasn't any available. So what I tend to do is put the glue in there, and then I'll apply it with this, which is a pin vise with a straightened paper clip in the end of it, and I find that's a far more precise way to apply glue than trying to squeeze it on or use a brush or anything like that. But that's just my personal preference. So the first bits we need are these pieces here inside this blister pack, and the first bit we need is the control box, which is labelled 01L, which I do believe is this small piece here, looking just like that. Yep. And it is going into the front, just there, if you can see that little slot. And the tab is oriented towards the back of the detail, so give it a dry fit, which is always best. It's going in that little tab, just like that. And that's where that's going. So there should be a tab below it as well, because that will be used for a detail in just a moment. But just apply a little bit of glue. You don't need too much glue. Because this stuff's fairly strong and it dries fairly quickly as well. So make sure that's in there straight, just like that. Perfect. Now the next piece we need is this control box here with the kind of silver dial on it, and it's going in just next to that one, into that slot just there, with the silver detail facing towards this place here. Oh no, sorry, with the silver detail facing towards the piece we've just put in. So again, just apply a little bit of glue there, and it goes in just like that. Fantastic. In this final detail part, you may find you need a pair of tweezers to get some of the bits out of the blister packs, and we may need to use it to apply some pieces later on even. It looks just like that, with a small pointy extrusion out the front, and it is going just into this slot here. And again, that tab is shaped so it will only fit in the correct orientation. Which is sure it's straight, thusly. And that's how all that fits together. So the next piece we need is the metal fuselage piece, looking just like that. And into that, the first piece we're putting in is the plastic window, looking just like that. Now it is shaped, so it will only fit in the correct way, which is just like this. Seconds. Yep. Only fit in the correct way, but you need to hold it in by putting just a little bit of super glue on the two pegs there. Now you do only want just a little, because you don't want super glue to bleed onto the clear bit of the window. You end up with a very frosty viewing window, and that wouldn't have been much use. Again, snap it back into place, just like that. That looks awesome. And then the final detail that we're applying on this is this piece here, which is the pilot tube head, and it's going into that hole there. You can see fits in there perfectly. So again, not too much glue because you don't want it squeezing out the sides, just a little dab into the middle, making sure it's oriented the correct way. As I say, you can see how quickly that super glue holds, and that is looking just like that. Looks fantastic, doesn't it? Okay, so these bits can all get put to one side now. That's all the gluing done for this issue. So what we're doing now is getting these three jigs and placing them like so. And what we're doing essentially is putting the propeller blades into each of them, so they'll slot in. You can see there's a slot in the top there. The blade just slots in. That's to hold them still so that we can put it all together into the mounting point. Now the mounting point, as I mentioned before, is this piece here, and you want it this way up. Oh, there was a washer there. I didn't notice that before. Now has that fallen out, or should that be out? No, it shouldn't be out. It should be in here. So there's a washer that's just in that central point there. Okay. So what we're doing is lining these propeller blades up, because as you see they have a cog on the end of them, and they'll line up with that washer, which has teeth on it. So put the propeller blades in. To say these jigs should help them to line up, just like that. And then we're placing this cap here over the top of them, just like that. That will hold them all together. And we need one of the two AP screws. Now the other one will be a spare, because Hachette Partworks are very, very kind and do supply you with a spare screw on most occasions. Again, as I say, I'm using my own screwdriver, and that screw just gets put straight down the middle. And that will hold all of these propellers nicely into place. Now we can take the jig off, and we should be able to turn the propeller fins like that. Nice. That's awesome, because they're all kind of linked to the central ring in the middle there. Very good. Okay. Now for the next step, we need to get the central cone, which is the silver one that looks like that, and it's just a push to fit into these 3 holes there. Sorry, I'm playing with them, but you can see there they all turn. As I turn that one there turns as well. Perfect. Okay, so that's that central nose is on, and then finally the spinner goes right over the top. Again, it has 3 holes there, and it will be held in with 3 of the AM screws. Again, get the 3 of them out. First one going in there. Now you'll want them nice and tight, because you don't want the nose cone or the spinner to wobble. Again. Screwed in nice and tight. Now it's actually the screwdriver they give you with the kit is a PH0 screwdriver, or a PH0. I'm actually using a PH1 because it allows you to get a bit more torque onto the metal screws. But there we go. Fantastic. There we are. That is the propeller blade all done. And the next thing we're doing is taking the motor and untying the cable. Just nicely tied to protect it during postage. This cable's actually, in comparison to the other Hachette builds I've worked with, the cable's very flexible, which I'm pleased about, because normally they're a little bit ropey, and it just gets pushed in there like that. You can see the propeller will spin, but don't take my word for it. I'm about to go and get a couple of AAA batteries to test it out. So bear with me just 2 seconds and I shall return. As if by magic, we have batteries. So, the wire here, again, it will only fit 1 plug, and I believe it is this one here. Just make sure that the pins in the plug line up with the pins in the socket, and there we go. How cool is that? Pretty good for issue 1 to supply you with a propeller in it. But yeah, that's cool. Awesome. And that's all there is to do in issue 1. How cool was that? So yeah, that's us for issue 1. What's coming in issue 2? Detailed parts for the front gun turret, including the machine guns and LEDs, plus the other side of the fuselage. So yeah, loads to do in issue 2, and it is very, very detailed. I have seen it. But yeah, that's awesome. So again, issue 1, we've done part of the frame, we've done part of the fuselage, and we have, of course, done one of the propellers. So yeah, that's awesome. Really, really chuffed with that. And as I say, it's one I wasn't intending to build, but hey, as I say, it's landed on me, so I might as well do it. But yeah, any feedback, comments, criticisms or complaints, drop them below. If you're new, just tuning in for the Lancaster Bomber, I'm also building the U-96 U-boat and the Titanic. So do subscribe for the rest of the Titanic, the rest of the U-boat, and hopefully the rest of the Lancaster Bomber. But yeah, thanks very much for watching, guys, and as always, peace out, everyone.